This is Bali from Indonesia.
If there were a physical coordinate where the boundary between the mortal and the divine simply ceased to exist, its name would be Bali. Geography calls it an island, but in reality, Bali is a fever dream of the soul. It's a place where the air carries the weight of 1,000 years of prayer, where rice fields dance in a green so vivid it feels like an insult to a camera lens, and where the Indian Ocean sings ancient melodies to volcanic rocks that have watched civilizations rise and fall. Why is it that when we step onto this soil, the frantic digital ticking of the modern world suddenly falls silent? Welcome to the Vagatrip. Today, we aren't just visiting a destination. We are stepping into a sanctuary to rediscover ourselves in the island of the gods. Subscribe to join our community and help us continue tracing the stories that truly matter. To the uninitiated, Bali is one of Indonesia's 17,000 islands, a modest 5,800 square kilometers of land tucked between Java and Lombok. But to those who listen, it is the Hindu heart of a nation, a unique exception pulsating with a mystical energy that defies logic. It is a place where the morning mist in Ubud doesn't just clear the air, it clears the mind. We often find ourselves lost in the pursuit of more. Yet here, the Balinese people offer us a different masterclass, the art of the Kanang Sari. These small bamboo baskets filled with flowers and incense are placed on every doorstep and street corner. They are not merely decorations, they are a rhythmic, daily pulse of gratitude, a reminder that every moment is sacred. But there's a darker, more potent magic here than just pretty flowers and turquoise water. It is found in the philosophy of Tri Hita Karana, the 3 causes of well-being. This isn't some brochure slogan. It is the invisible architecture of the Balinese soul. It demands a brutal, beautiful balance between the divine, nature, and our fellow humans. In a world that has mastered the art of extraction and ego, Bali stands as a silent, powerful rebuke. It asks us, if you are not in harmony with the earth beneath your feet and the spirit within your chest, where are you actually going? As we navigate through the bustling streets of Denpasar and into the emerald silence of the highlands, we are looking for a miracle. We are looking for that specific moment where time stands still, where you witness a sunset over the peaks of active volcanoes and realize that you are not a spectator of nature, but a part of it. The journey we are embarking on today will take us from the shadows of crystal-clear waterfalls to the ancient salt-sprayed cliffs of Uluwatu. It is a journey that promises an unforgettable transformation. Are you ready to see what lies behind the curtain of the island of the gods? Because what we are about to discover isn't just about Bali. It's about the piece of paradise you've been carrying inside you all along, just waiting for the right light to find it. Stay with me until the very end, because the final revelation of this island is something no photograph can ever capture. To understand how this spiritual harmony manifests in the physical world, we must leave the lowlands behind and look toward the heavens, where the true architects of Bali's silhouette reside. In the Balinese mind, geography is a moral compass, and the compass needle always points toward the mountains. These are not merely geological formations, they are the island's silent heroes, the volcanic titans that command respect and offer life in equal measure. At the center of it all stands Mout Agung, a jagged crown piercing the clouds at over 3,000 meters. To the locals, Agung is the navel of the universe, the primordial axis upon which the world spins. Standing at its base, you don't just see a mountain, you feel a gravitational pull that is as much spiritual as it is physical. When the evening sun bleeds into the horizon, bathing Agung's slopes in a haunting palette of golden purple, it's impossible not to feel small, not in a way that diminishes you, but in a way that restores your sense of wonder. For those of us who find peace through movement, Mount Batur offers a different kind of communion. The ascent usually begins in the dead of night, a pilgrimage through cold air and volcanic ash under a canopy of stars that seem close enough to touch. There is a specific kind of internal silence that occurs during this trek, a stripping away of the ego with every step upward. And then at 1,700 meters, the sun begins its slow crawl over the Indian Ocean. As the first light hits the crater lake, turning the water into a sheet of polished sapphire, while clouds drift beneath your feet like a phantom sea, you realize that this is why we climb. It isn't for the photograph. It's to witness the world being born anew, to be present at the exact moment light conquers darkness. It is a visceral reminder that in Bali, the most sacred heights are earned through the quiet persistence of the human spirit. Yet the mountains do not keep this majesty to themselves. They pour it down into the valleys in the form of water. This is where the wisdom of the ancestors becomes visible to the naked eye. The rice terraces of Jatilui are not just a breathtaking landscape. They are a living, breathing testament to the Subak system, a 1,000-year-old masterpiece of irrigation and social engineering recognized by UNESCO. But to call it an irrigation system feels far too clinical. It is a philosophy of shared water, a manifestation of community cooperation where every farmer is a steward of his neighbor's prosperity. As you walk among those emerald steps that curve perfectly with the contours of the earth, you see the work of centuries. Every terrace is a prayer, answered by sweat and silver water. If the rice fields are the island's organized grace, the waterfalls are its raw, unbridled emotion. Hidden within the dense, humid embrace of the jungle, these cascades are the jewels of this tropical paradise. Take Sekumpul, for instance. To reach this twin waterfall, you must commit to a 30-minute descent into a world of vibrant moss and ancient ferns. The air grows heavy with mist long before you see the water. When it finally reveals itself, two massive pillars of white silk plunging 80 meters into a hidden gorge, the sheer power of the sound is enough to vibrate through your bones. It is nature's own cathedral. Further south, near Ubud, the Tegenungan Waterfall offers a more accessible communal joy where you can watch rainbows fragment across the spray. But my heart often pulls me toward the quieter, more mysterious corners like Gitgit or Tibumana. There, flowing through bamboo forests that filter the sunlight into a soft, ethereal green, the water feels ancient. In Bali, water is never just H2O. It is a vehicle for purification. You see this most profoundly at Pura Tirta Empul, where the holy springs have been bubbling since the 10th century. As a traveler, you find yourself wondering, what burdens have I brought across the ocean that could be left behind in these cool, sacred currents? In the presence of such timeless flow, the digital dust of our anxieties begins to feel remarkably fragile. This is the gift of the Balinese highlands. It teaches us that to be truly alive, we must be willing to rise with the peaks and flow with the falls. Leaving the mist-covered peaks and the cleansing roar of the waterfalls behind, we descend into a different kind of intensity, the rhythmic, beating heart of Balinese culture, where the silence is just as loud as the music. To truly understand this island, you have to lean into its contradictions, specifically the way it handles the concept of noise. In our modern world, we are terrified of the void. We fill every second with a notification, a podcast, or a screen. But Bali has mastered a secret that the rest of us have forgotten: the power of the absolute pause. Once a year, the entire island enters Nyepi, the day of silence. For 24 hours, the world simply stops. No planes touch the runway, no lights flicker in the windows, and the streets are surrendered to the spirits. It is a collective breath. A day of meditation where the island hides in darkness to trick evil forces into thinking it is uninhabited. Standing in that darkness, you realize that silence isn't the absence of something. It is the presence of everything. It is the beginning of the Balinese New Year, a radical act of spiritual hygiene that forces you to confront the one thing we spend our lives avoiding: ourselves. When the silence finally breaks, it does so with an explosion of color and craft, centered in the emerald soul of Ubud. This town is more than a destination. It is an epicenter of an artistic evolution that has been brewing for centuries. Walking through the gallery-lined streets, you can feel the ghosts of the 1930s, when artists like Walter Spies and Rudolf Bonnet first arrived and began a creative dialogue with local masters. They didn't just change Balinese art, they mirrored it back to itself, blending traditional Hindu epics with modern perspectives. Today, that legacy lives on in every carved mask and hand-woven textile you find in the Ubud art market. This isn't art for the sake of a gallery wall. It is art as an act of devotion. Every stroke is a prayer. Every carved stone in Batubalan, where artisans transform volcanic rock into guardian statues, is a sentinel for the sacred. This devotion reaches its most visceral peak on the cliffs of Uluwatu. As the sun begins its slow dive into the Indian Ocean, 150 men gather in a circular formation around a fire to perform the Kecak dance. There are no instruments here, only the human voice, a rhythmic, percussive chak-chak-chak. You aren't just watching a play, you are witnessing a psychological climax. But culture isn't just found in the temples or the theaters, it's found on the plate, and Bali's culinary identity is a defiant, delicious statement of its uniqueness. In a nation that is overwhelmingly Muslim, the Balinese Hindu tradition of eating pork becomes a vibrant symbol of their distinct heritage. This is best represented by babi guling, a spiced pork dish roasted on a spit until the skin is a crackling golden amber. To eat babi guling in a local warung is to taste the history of the island itself, bold, spicy, and unapologetically grounded in tradition. And then there is the legendary Kopi Luwak. While the world obsesses over the price tag up to $100 a cup, the real story is the patience required to produce it. It is a slow, methodical process that involves the digestive system of the civet cat, a process that mocks our Western desire for instant gratification. It asks us to slow down, to appreciate the strange and the labor-intensive, and to realize that some of the finest things in life cannot be rushed. As you wander through the sacred monkey forest, watching 700 long-tailed macaques play among the ruins of 10th century temples, or stand in the courtyard of a gamelan orchestra practice, you begin to see that Bali's culture is not a relic of the past. It is a living, breathing organism. The Island of the Gods is not a title given lightly. It is earned through a relentless commitment to beauty and ritual. It teaches us that when life is lived as an offering, every moment carries a weight of gold. We are invited not just to observe this culture, but to let it seep into our bones, to carry the silence of Nyepi and the fire of the Kecak within us long after we've returned to the noise of our own lives. This immersion in the sacred and the traditional provides the foundation for Bali's most modern paradox, an island that has become the world's most sought-after mirror for the future. As we move from the silent temples of Ubud toward the salt-sprayed energy of the southern coast, we see a new Bali emerging, one where high-speed fiber optics weave through ancient rice paddies. Places like Canggu and Seminyak represent this cosmopolitan shift, a magnetic pull for the digital nomad generation. In Seminyak, the chic beach clubs like Potato Head and Coup d'etat offer a sophisticated, luxurious rhythm, while Canggu hums with a raw, youthful energy. It is here, in the organic cafes and co-working spaces, that a global community has gathered to redefine what it means to work and live. Even Pererinan, recently crowned one of the world's coolest neighborhoods, perfectly captures this delicate balance, offering the laid-back, creative pulse that made this coast famous, yet managing to hold on to the traditional soul that the crowds often threaten to erase. I believe it's because Bali offers a harmony that our glass and steel cities cannot replicate. It is the only place on Earth where you can finish a global conference call and, within the hour, be standing on the cliffs of Uluwatu or surfing the legendary waves of Echo Beach. Even in the most high-tech cafe, you will still find a Kanang sari offering placed carefully on the counter next to a laptop. It is a constant reminder that no matter how fast our world moves, we must still take a moment to be grateful. This connection to the elements extends beneath the surface of the sea. To visit the Nusa Islands, Nusa Penida, and Nusa Lembongan is to witness the raw, untamed frontier of the Coral Triangle. Here the ocean isn't just a backdrop, it is a sanctuary. Gliding through the crystal-clear waters of Manta Point, watching a giant manta ray with a 5-meter wingspan soar gracefully beneath you is a humbling experience that strips away any lingering ego. These gentle giants, alongside the rare ocean sunfish or mola mola, remind us that we are guests in a vast blue world. Whether you are staring at the T-Rex-shaped cliffs of Kelingking Beach or feeling the spray of the Indian Ocean at Angel's Billabong, nature here doesn't just invite you in, it demands that you witness its majesty. As we bring this journey to a close, we return to the core truth of this island, the philosophy of Tri Hita Karana. Bali isn't just a place you see, It is an experience that teaches you how to feel. We leave these shores not just with photographs, but with a different way of seeing. The warmth of the Balinese smile, the scent of morning incense, and the echo of the gamelan will stay with you, calling you back long after you've returned home. This has been a journey into the heart of the gods, but more importantly, a journey into our own. Thank you for tracing the globe with me here on the Vagatrip. Until our next exploration, remember to live with intention, seek the balance, and never stop looking for the paradise that exists within you. Safe travels, and see you in the next video.